Now, for more on this, we're joined by Dr. Tumi Diale, who's an educational psychologist at the University of Johannesburg. Dr. Tumi, thank you very much for your time this evening. You know, one of the sentiments that was shared by the activist leader, Seth Mazibuko, is that there's a huge disconnect between the youth of 1976 and the youth of today. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I would definitely agree, although I would ask a follow-up question. Who is responsible for it? Because yes, there is a disconnect, and I think Seth puts it correctly to say we. I guess when he refers to we, he refers to me and himself, that we left our children leaderless. So we have to go back and look and check, where did we go wrong? Where did the youth of 76 go wrong? Where did the youth of 84 go wrong, who are today parents of the youth of the 21st century and who are the parents of the youth of 2018. So we have to go back and actually look at ourselves as parents to say, where did we miss it?
You know, Dr. Tumi, with that, I guess, leadership vacuum, thus then, where do we say then the youth of today would draw inspiration from? There are quite a number of challenges. Yes, great strides have been made in trying to ensure that the youth of today do have access to many opportunities. But one of the things that we mentioned is high youth unemployment, which this country is still battling with.
Cressida, I'm struggling with the ideology that youth have access. There's a difference between having access in policy and having access in practice. At this stage, we talk about access, but access is in policy. We've got the most beautiful policies and legislation in the country. But in actual practice, access is not there. And that is what makes our young generation angry. And that is what makes them feel disillusioned about who we are as a country and how we view them as the youth of today. So access is actually an ideal at this stage, not a reality.
Is that what is leading to such despondency that we see amongst young people? Many of the things that are featured in the run-up to this commemoration today is the behavior of the youth of today, the despondency that we see, the policies that you talk about that are on paper but are not practically there for them to enjoy. Is that what's fueling some of the behavioral patterns, perhaps, that we have seen? We're not saying all is doom and gloom, but if we look at the classroom in particular, in what you are an expert in, we see the burning of classrooms. Back in 1976, that was a noble cause, but you never saw the burning down of classrooms. Like Mr. Mazibuko indicated, more bottle stores instead were burned down at the time. Is this rage? Where does this rage come from that we see in young people today?
I think it goes back to the question we said earlier on. I will assume that the rage actually comes from these children feeling they are left alone. If I'm unparented, if I don't have any guidance, if I don't have any leadership, if I have to bring myself up as a child, then despondency comes, anger comes. And unfortunately, anger doesn't only show with our young our young children. We see anger even in our adults. So actually the anger that we see in our children come from the society, come from our adults. Actually in South Africa, I guess we celebrate if a week passes and there is no riots or there's nothing burnt down. And we always are quick to judge on the other side, but we actually not question and go to the deep of saying, why is it happening? Where have we gone wrong? Why are we having such an angry society? Why are we having such angry adults, which are, by the way, the parents of the same youth that we pinpoint to say they are angry?
But this certainly does pose a challenge, don't you think, Dr. Diale, in the sense that if it is coming from the home, there isn't proper parenting at home, then this would translate perhaps into what we see in the schools, where we have seen in the recent past learners themselves showing that anger towards teachers. It doesn't stop there. It goes into society as well. And then once it is infused in society as a whole, you've got a whole round big problem that a country such as ours has to deal with.
I don't know if it actually comes from, I always use the analogy of in the 90s when I was still a school child, in the 80s in actual fact, when I was a school child.
Yeah.
I remember very well at that time when we were fighting for freedom, one of the key things that we had was the whole noble concept of agutengwa, where we
Yes.
said we don't buy in white shops.
Yes.
And one of the key things that we did, and that I remember very well, it's when our parents came with groceries, we made them drink that fish oil, eat that flour, because we told you that we don't buy. And at that moment, at that point, whilst we were fighting a noble fight,
Yeah.
we took away parenting from our parents. Our parents were very scared of us.
Yeah.
And sort of that disconnect started there. And then, boom, we come. In 2018, we are parents.
That's right.
Have we learned parenting? Maybe we've missed it. We don't know how to parent. That is why our children are where we are.
So then who are the youth of today in comparison to the youth of 1976? Who are we talking about?
The youth of today are the children that myself, Seth, and many others have abandoned to bring up. We've made them orphans whilst we are alive. So they are the youth of today. And they are the ones who are crying out loud. And until we listen and listen very carefully to their voices and hear what they are crying about, we might never get it right.
Dr. Tumi Diale, an educational psychologist at the University of Johannesburg, thank you very much for making time for us this evening. We'll take a short break here on the news at 9. More after this.